Hi guys, this is Kumar and today we'll be studying mental maths and especially how to use uh, amazing techniques to find out squares and cube roots. Right? Many a times when I'm teaching mental maths, a lot of students ask me this. Why study mental maths, right? Why I every one of us has in today's world has calculators and computers. So why do I need to study mental maths? So let me answer that question first. So what you see on the screen right now is a person who's known as Grant Sanderson. He's one of the most amazing teachers on YouTube, and what he says is that you should study maths for two reasons, right? One is the story behind anything, why mental maths is important, when can it be important, how it came to become so important, and another which is utility. See, right here in his TED presentation says, when will I use this? This is one of the very common questions that students ask. So let me tell you a story. This story is of a young kid, Sojas Wagle. Okay, so he's on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and he is up for a question that is worth $100,000. Can anybody of you calculate how much $10,000 is in rupees? Sorry, 100,000. How much $100,000 is in rupees? Now, $100,000, if you see the latest currency rates, right? This is something that you will have to do on a daily basis, right? When you're working or you're running your own business, currency conversion is something very important. So it's very simple. 1 USD in today's rates is around 75 rupees. So I can immediately find out 100,000 would be 75 multiplied by these 5 zeros. 75 lakh rupees. Okay, so he's up for a question up like that. And look at what is the question. He has been told to answer when multiplied by itself, which number is equal to this humongous number. Do you see the size of this number? You see the size of this number? It has how many? 2, 5, 8, 11, 14. There are 17 digits in this number. Right? And the question is, when multiplied by itself, which number is equal to this number? So effectively, the question is, what is the square root of this number? Right? What is the square root of this number? Now you see, he's on the panel. He's playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He's not allowed a calculator, right? He's not allowed a calculator. He cannot call someone or he cannot look into the computer. He has to answer right then and there. And the techniques that I'm going to teach you today is going to help you answer that question within 5 seconds. So let's see. So that's the story, right? That is the story of this person. So when we discuss the technique, at the end we'll also see what is the end of this story. Was Sojas able to answer or not? But we'll come to it again. Where can you use it? There is an actual term called mathlete, that is students who are exceptionally fast, in solving problems. Now look at this question.
In our matchup, and our second question is, the number 97,336 is the cube of which integer? Andrew.
46.
46 is the correct answer.
Did you notice something? It took around 5 to 6 seconds for the host to say the question, and the student was able to answer the question within 6 seconds. How was he able to do that? Okay, so that is something, if you want to participate in competitions like this, you want to succeed, these are the techniques that you need to know to excel in these kind of competitions.
In our matchup, and our second question is,
so what I need from you? What I need from you is to learn just this simple list. The first 10 numbers, their squares and their cubes. Okay? If you're able to learn these numbers, if you're able to learn only this small set of numbers, you will be able to handle these kind of questions that we just saw in both those cases very, very easily. Okay? That is the only thing I need from you. Learn this, take a break, try to memorize all of this, and then continue with the video. So what are the tricks? What are the tricks that I can use to solve these kind of questions? First of all, based on how big my number is, I can actually figure out how many digits would be there in my square root. So it's a very simple trick, right? Square roots are usually in groups of 2. Okay? If I have a very large number, that has, let's say, 7 digits. Okay? So 6, 4, 5, 9, 8, 3, 41. So let's say I think there are 8 digits. So let's just erase one of them. Okay. Now we have 7 digits. Okay. Now it is actually possible for me to tell how many digits will be in the square root. And it's very easy. For the last 2, I'll get my units digit. For another 2, I'll get my tens digit. Another 2, I'll get my thousands digit. And for one more, I'll get my 10,000th digit. So it's very easy. You have to look in terms of groups. Okay. So if there are, let's say, 5 digits. Okay. So I have, let's say, 6, 7, 1, 8, 4. Okay. If I have this would be my units digit. This group will give me my tens digit. And one more will be my hundreds digit. So just by looking at the number of digits, I can actually find out how many digits are there in my square root. Okay, in my square root or cube. Okay, how do I do it for cube root? For cube root, I do it in groups of 3. Okay, I drew it in groups of 3. So how do I do it? Suppose I have a number like this. 1, 2, 5, 8, 7, 3, 7, 3. Okay. Now I'm not saying that this is a perfect cube. I have just given a number at random. But if it was a perfect cube, it would be possible for me to tell you that there is going to be a units, a tens, and a hundreds digit. Okay. So it is actually possible for me. To find out the number of digits. So what is the formula, right? Can I come up with a formula? So here is the formula. Suppose if you have n digits in your number, okay, for square roots, if n is even, the square root, I'll write that as SR, will have n by 2 digits. If n is odd, okay, what happens if n is odd? Then in that case, the square root will have n plus 1 by 2 digits. Okay, so if there are, for example, 6 digits in your square in your number, then the square root will have 3 digits. If there are 7 digits in your number, then you will have, the square root will have 4 digits. Okay, so this is how we can figure out the number of digits in a square root, and I would recommend that you come up with a similar formula for cube roots on your own. Alright, now how do I figure out the last digit of the root? And this will help if you can memorize these numbers, right? For example, if you notice, if my number ends with 6, I can definitely say that my square root, if the number is a perfect number, the square root will end with, let's see, where am I getting 6? I'm getting 6 here, I'm getting 6 here. So it can end with a 4 or a 6. Okay, but if it has a cube root, it's even more better. You notice that the last digit in a cube never gets repeated. You can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 0. There is no repetition. So cube root is even more easy. If my number is ending with 6, I can definitely say that my cube root, CR I'll use for cube root, will end with a 6. Okay? It will end with a 6. Alright. So for the last digit of the root, check the last digit of the number. And from the list, if you have memorized the list, the last digit of the root can be obtained. Okay. Now, it is also possible to figure out what is the first digit of my square root. Look at it this way. Suppose if I'm looking for a square root of 441. Okay, I don't need to put a comma there, so I'll just erase that. See, how can I figure out? If it is a perfect square, notice that I will have 2 digits. See, there are 3 digits in the number. I'll use the n plus 1 by 2 formula. Which means my square root should have 2 digits. Alright. Now, my last digit is ending with 1, right? My last digit is ending with 1. So what I can say is that, okay, if my last digit is ending with 1, either my number is ending with 1 or my number is ending with 9. I'm not very sure, but I can definitely say that it is either 1 or 9. Okay, we'll try to figure out what that is. But let's come, how can I figure out the first digit? Okay, so when you're working on the first digit, after you have divided into groups, the number that is left, the first group, the group in the leftmost, okay, you try to see that number lies between which 2 perfect squares. Okay, it lies between which 2 perfect squares. Now in this case, our 4 is greater than or equal to 4 but less than 9, which means my first digit is going to be the square root of this 4. So that number is definitely 1, right? So I know that my answer is either 21 or 29. Okay, a simple common sense check could help you with that. 21 is more closer to square root of 400, which is 20. Okay, so my answer is 21. Now, how do I apply this in more complicated questions? See, this is the question that had been asked to that guy, right? What is the cube root of 97336, right? And he was able to answer within 6 seconds. Now, how did he do that? So here is the method. I'm looking for the cube root, right? Which means I'm making groups of 3. So I have one group here, and this is the second group, which means I only have 2 digits. I see that the last digit is ending with 6, which means my cube root, I showed earlier, there's only one possibility. It has to be with 6. Okay. And how do I find the first digit? I look at this number, as I said, the leftmost group, and I try to place it between 2 cubes. Okay, either for example, in this case it will lie between 64 and 125. Okay, that means my answer, my first digit is cube root of 64, which is 4, and that is answer 46. Now with enough practice you would be able to do it much more quickly. Let's look at the next example. 4, 5, 6, 3, 3, 3. How many digits will I have? I have one group, 2 groups, right? Remember, in cube root we take groups of 3. So I have 2 digits. Last digit 3. If you memorize your list, or if you want to go back to the list, you can check. 3 comes with the last digit of 7. And for the first digit, I place 456 between the 2 cubes that I would have learned from my list. So it lies between 343, which is 7 cube, and 5112, which is 8 cube, which means this number is again 77. Okay, so this is how you can come up with cube roots very quickly. Okay, so what about this large number? This large number that Sojas was trying to solve. What is the square root of this? What I would say, because you're looking for the square root, correct? You just count how many groups of 2 there are. That's group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and one last group. That would mean my square root is going to have 9 digits. Okay, this is the only thing you have to figure out. And once you do that, look at the options. How many digits does each option have? A, if you count, has 7. B has 9. C has 11. And D has 12. Now remember, if you knew this technique, it wouldn't take you 5 seconds to realize that my answer is B. So I really hope that one of you could be the next Sojas who goes ahead and wins a lot of this money and accolades based on your skill. Thank you for listening to this video. I hope the techniques that we discussed